God damn, it's hot out here. I gotta find some shade. Anyway, so we could talk about the struggle and dating, how things are super competitive nowadays for men. I don't worry about what women are saying about me, man. They're not a man. They don't know what it feels like to be a man. They don't walk in a man's shoes. So I ignore that shit. And when you're struggling, you're just struggling. That's why I work out, man, because I know I got genetics that'll chunk me up. You know, at the sight of a donut. I know I got that problem. That's why I get out here and work out at least every other day. Bust a sweat. I need a pre-workout right now, though, bro. I'm sorry, we gotta get a pre-workout. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't do this without a pre-workout, so we're gonna have to walk to the store. I don't go to that store no more, at the car wash or the gas station store no more. So we're gonna have to take a longer walk and come back. You know, I need a pre-workout. I need some Rockstar. You feel what I'm saying? But like I was saying, bro, the bag is something that a lot of guys gotta strive to get, or you're just gonna suffer and dating for the rest of your life. I want to eventually come out of my situation. You feel what I'm saying? I don't want to stay here. You feel what I'm saying? I don't want to stay here struggling, man, for the rest of my life, for all eternity, man. You know, I want to, like I said, I want to eventually come up out of my situation. I don't want to stay. So I'm doing what's necessary, chasing the bag long term. As you can see how consistent I am, right? I'm still chasing the bag, even though since the last time I won a bag was like 2 grand. Was it a year and a half ago? I'm still going. I'm determined to get that bag, man, because you know um, that's the only thing that's gonna make my life better, and it's gonna make my life better with women. So I know for a fact that getting a bag is not an easy thing to do, you know. So I'm prepared for the long haul, man. You feel what I'm saying? I'm prepared for the long haul. I should have went the other way and got a pre-workout. Now I gotta walk this way. It's only a few more blocks. So anyway, you gotta take this bag getting shit seriously, man. You feel what I'm saying? You gotta take getting the bag seriously. You gotta take getting the bag like your fucking life depends on it. You feel what I'm saying? Your life depending on having a better life. Oh, okay, we can walk across. I'll get a Rockstar over here, bro. I don't need to go to that store. Fuck that store, bro. You're not the only store that sells Rockstar. I go over here. I don't have to walk down the block. You guys got to start, taking things a little bit more seriously, with this bag getting, man. Because life ain't no joke without it, man. Life is hard for men if we don't have money, if we don't have that bag. That's why I suggest you guys get comfortable, going long term, getting the bag. You know what I'm saying? Just be okay with like, okay, you know, I might not get the bag this year. I might not get the bag next year. I might get it 5 years from now. Better than a life sentence. Feel what I'm saying? It's better than a life sentence. Hey, give me 5 more years. It's better than until the day that I die. See, at least I know at 50 I'll have it. You feel what I'm saying? But it's better than going all the way up to 70, 80 and croaking without it. You know what I'm saying? I got a feeling I'm only gonna last until like 75, man. That's probably when I'll die, man. I probably won't even make it to 80, bro. Hell, probably won't make it to 60. You know what I'm saying? But if I get the bag, I'll live longer though. You got the best doctors and shit, yeah. You got the bag, you'll live longer. Yeah, we gotta get a pre-workout because I can't work out like this. See what I'm saying? The life is full of struggles, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that's gonna make your life easier is money, bro. Why you think, you know, motherfuckers go out there and get the bag to make their life easier? See what I'm saying? To make their life easier. They don't want to struggle their whole entire life, man. Now I understand why there's so many goddamn millionaires here in the Bay Area. Most of them are men, though. They said, man, we gotta get that bag, bro. We can't be out here struggling for the rest of our lives, you know. And they get the bag quick, man, because they want things to come easy. They want women to come easy. They want houses to come easy, cars to come easy. They don't want to have to struggle getting nothing. Everything, whatever you have, whatever you see it, you can have it. You want $1 million car? You got the bag, you got it. See what I'm saying? Hello. I'm good, man. He served as an officer in the Navy. It was just a joy to see the pride that he took with his hat and gloves and all the Yeah, look at this. Punched. 322. Tangerine, okay, good.
Huh?
Oh, so tangerine.
Oh. Thank you. Put it on.
Too, man. I had tangerine before. I'll taste it.
This is mango.
That's mango?
Yeah.
I thought it was tangerine.
No, this is mango.
Oh, okay, all right. That's even better, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got me a mango Rockstar. About to work out. It's fucking hot outside, so it's like fuck. I gotta have something to drink. We gotta drink this and we gotta drink water. For what I'm saying. So just prepare for it to be not easy to get a bag, man. You gotta like, okay, it's a challenge, you know. It's a challenge to get the bag. If it was easy, everybody would have one. But you see how many goddamn Lamborghinis are in your neighborhood or other high-end cars. You only see them once in a blue moon. I know there's a guy around here, that drives a And you see them every now and then, maybe like once a month or something like that. But those cars are, and those men are rare, man, because of the shit that you gotta do to chase this bag, man. It can be mentally draining. You know, times are tough. You know, you really ain't got no sign of hope. Feel what I'm saying? It's mentally draining too. My mental health has sunk from being alone for so long. You know, that's all that's left is the bag, man. You know, that's all that's left is the attain it, man. Or you're gonna live like shit for the rest of your life. Some people don't value the bag like that, so they stay poor their whole entire life. They stay struggling their whole entire life. You got men that don't value the bag and they still struggling in the dating market, or they struggle getting a girlfriend. They dating life sucks, you know. But I'm like, bro, your dating life gonna suck into the end if you don't get out here and get this bag. Okay, let's cool off in the shade, bro. And we gotta drink some water behind that rock star. Ugh. All right. Oh. All right, so I had to drink some water, but like I said, bro, it's a hard journey, man, toward the bag. And people like me and people who have already got the bag, we're rare, man. A guy who can stop dating for years and focus on his shit, that's a rare motherfucker, because a lot of motherfuckers can't do that. They rather chase pussy, you know, even into their old age. They never stop. Like me, I put the brakes on. I was like, hold on, man. Is this is what it has come to? You know, is that the end of me right there? You know, I'm gonna be dating sub 5 women for the rest of my life. Is that what it's gonna go do? You know, that's what's gonna happen, right? But that's not me. That's not me. I gotta have a better looking woman, man. You know, below average looking women and shit like that. That's just not me, man. You know, maybe for a night or two, but not long term. You know, sub 5 soccer, you know, wasn't for me, bro. You know, the female I was dating, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, the heavy set, stanky breath female. No, that's not for me, man. I couldn't deal with her breath. The fat chick I was dating at the beginning of the pandemic, she was, I could tell, man, she was trying to chew gum, you know, and hide her stanky breath, man. That was not working. I could smell that breath through that bubblicious she was chewing. So that's not for me for the rest of my life. That's why I'm chasing the bag. Either that or you're gonna be dating sub 5 females. Cause that's all that's out here left for me, man. All the women I was dating was below average looking. The fat chick was messing around with sub 5 stalker. I'm gonna call her the stanky breath fat chick. You know, that was all that was left for me, man. And you're forced to do that stuff when you don't have the bag, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't gay. You gotta have sex somehow. So if a fat chick open her legs to you and you ain't had no pussy in a while, you gonna go for it. You feel me? That's all that's left out here in the streets. You know? It's just a fat chick, really? Or a sub 5 stalker? That's all that's available to me? Because you look at your options, because your face match, they're all up in relationships and stuff. Or they think that they're better than you. You know, the average woman. You know, the woman who got, average features, average. That's all I've been dating my whole entire life. I'm used to just average women. You know, what's up with it? What's up with it, Jaden? I gotta get the bag too. Yeah, you gotta get the bag, man. Or it's gonna be leftover women for you. It's gonna be below average women for you for the rest of your life. That's what happened to my dad, man. He didn't have the bag, so he was forced to like date women that were below his looks level. That's why dudes do it, man. They ain't got no money, so they start dating below themselves. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. To me, that's a death sentence right there. You know, that's a death sentence for me. You gotta keep drinking more water. We gotta drink this water and then we'll work out. We'll make sure we got a lot of water in our bodies before I work out, because I don't want to pull a muscle again. If you dehydrated and you try to work out, man, you're gonna pull a muscle and it's gonna hurt like it did last time. Didn't drink enough water. Nah, man. You know, if you've been walking for a minute and you ain't been sipping on no water, nah, before you work out, bro, sip water for at least 10 minutes, bro. At least 10 minutes. Take time out to drink some water, because you will pull a muscle and it's gonna hurt. Like I said, bro, like, the bag it's gonna open up a lot of opportunities for you, and it's gonna make life easier with you, and it's gonna make life easier with women. See, we want to have an easier time with women. We don't want to have a hard time with women. We don't want to be struggling. You feel what I'm saying? Basically out here, dating below your looks level just so you can get easy access to sex. We don't want to do that. Yeah, I'm pretty dehydrated. We gotta keep drinking water, man. Might have to go back to the store and get some more water, because I only got like a quarter left. We get the bag so we can have an easier time with women. The stories I've been hearing about Diddy, how Diddy would use his money to keep women around and shit like that. And this is what I've been hearing in court, which is Diddy trial, is that he used the bag to his advantage. When the female wasn't complying and she wasn't listening to what he had to say, or she wasn't obeying his commands, he would hold that bag over their head, and then they would do it. She's like, the only reason why I stayed with Diddy is because of the money. That's the only reason why I stayed with him. You see, when you got the bag, bro, you got the advantage. You got leverage in the dating market, and that's what you want. I want leverage. I want to be able to hold my bag over the head and make women do as I say do, man. I want power and control. You know, just like Diddy was doing, and just like any other like dude with money. You know, you got the money, bro. You got control. You got complete control over everything. You don't want to be controlled. You want to control. You it's like a video game. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want the computer controlling everything. You want to be able to play the game, man, and control shit. You know what I'm saying? It's better. It's more fun that way, and it's better that way if you're controlling shit. If you got control over your own destiny, man. Nobody can fire you from a job. Like, look, I've been fired from so many jobs for the stupidest reasons. You know, maybe because they didn't like me because I was black or something like that. But when you got the bag, you're not begging a motherfucker for a job. You feel what I'm saying? When you got the bag, you're not begging for a job. You're self-employed. You got your own thing going on, and like I said, you don't have to fucking fill out no application out here begging somebody to take you in and give you a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I want complete control over my own destiny. You feel what I'm saying? I want complete control over my own destiny. I don't want to be out here struggling. Driving a lesser car, driving a beat up car, dating below average looking women. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me, man. Even if I'm broke, I wouldn't date a below average looking woman. She would have to be at least average, a 5, 6, or a 7, man. I won't settle for anything less than a 5, man. A 4, hell no. A 5, yeah, maybe. I'll rock with that. Because there's a difference between a 4 and a 5, man. There's a difference. A 5 is average looking, like right in the middle. A 4 is below average looking. You know what I'm saying? A 3 is even worse. Sub 5 stalker, she was a 3. So these are the women you got access to when you don't have the bag. There's a punishment for men like that, bro. If you don't get the bag, you will be punished. To me, that's a punishment. For me to be dating below average women, fat women all the time, because I got no other better options, that's a punishment, bro. To me, that's suffering, bro. You're being punished when you don't achieve things, man. Like I said, I seen my dad be punished for not getting the bag. Man, the older he got, the uglier the women he was dating, bro. You feel what I'm saying? The older he got, the uglier the women became, bro. I kept seeing my dad was some of the most ugliest women in the world. And he was like in his 50s and 60s and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Dad, why you like dating them ugly women like that? He was like, son, I got the upper hand in the relationship, so I like having the upper hand. You date these pretty women, they think they all that in a bag of chips. That's what he was saying. So I got the upper hand because I'm better looking than them. I mean, he didn't say that in those words, but he was just saying, I got the better hand. I got the upper hand. They do as I say. They do as I say do. I got no problems with them. With the prettier women, he touched on that a little bit, but I remember him saying something like that about the prettier women, how the prettier women are just, full of themselves, and he have a whole lot. He have a lot more. He have a harder time controlling them. That's what it is. He has a harder time controlling them. I get with a woman that's below my looks level. Man, she cooking everything. She sucking dick all the time. She doing everything I tell her to do. I don't have no problem with these ugly women. So I said, oh, okay. Well, if you had the money, you won't have to date them ugly women. You'll date pretty women, and you'll have them under your control. You see, I want to have pretty women under my control, not the ugly ones. I don't want to deal with them. long term anyway. A pump and dump situation. You know, like I said, Sub 5 Stalker thought she was all that in a bag of chips. She was a narcissist and then some. Like, baby, you ain't got that leverage like that. You're not pretty like that. To be out here pouting like a little princess. No, you're not a princess. You're far from it. You're Sub 5. You don't get no leverage. You don't get second chances with me either. You mess up once, I'm out of there. Feel what I'm saying? Hope I don't injure myself. I'm gonna drink some more water. That's what you want, man. You want power and control, man. You don't want to be dating women who are below your looks level, man. That's not looking good on you, man. You don't want to date a fat chick. I say no to fat women nowadays, man. I'm like, no, you got a whole lot of roles I got to deal with. Like this one chick around here, man. I swear, she was hitting on me. She was fat as you don't know what. I mean, one time I was walking from court, right? I was coming from the courthouse, like down the street over here. And that was a long walk from here to there. I mean, from there to here, it was like a mile I had to walk, right? And this fat chick that I've been seeing around here, you know, around the way, you know, she offered me to come in and have some drinks at her spot. And if she had been a little bit prettier, and if she wasn't fat, I would have stopped and got a drink because it was hot, and I was walking. You know what I'm saying? But then, you know, she offered me to come in, have some lemonade or some refreshment or something like that, and I said no. I kept it pushing, bro. Like, you don't attract me like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna you know, get the bag so I can have the ones I really want. That's what it's all about, having the ones you really want. You know. I'm looking at some of the women that Diddy was dealing with. He was dealing with some of the most beautiful women in the world, bro. That's the type of power and money you want, man. I don't have to settle for the scraps and stuff, you know, for the lesser stuff. You feel what I'm saying? I got the bag, you know, I can get the woman that I want. I don't have to settle for the stupid shit. You feel what I'm saying? I don't have to settle for the lesser shit. The lesser shit is for motherfuckers who hasn't achieved nothing. Yeah, that's called a punishment. Like, when you young, man, you full of looks, you know, you can get away with being broke and not having money, and you can get a pretty woman or a woman that's at least average by your side. But once you get older, if you ain't achieved shit, you gotta settle for like lesser attractive women. That's the punishment for you, for not getting out there and getting that money, man. Yeah, there is a punishment. Like I said, man, there is a punishment. There's a punishment for niggas who don't get the bag. You see what I'm saying? Or you get nothing at all, because you got guys that's incel, and that ain't had a woman in years. Okay? I mean, at least I had sex and I had interest and stuff like that when I was struggling throughout the 8 years. I did have sex. I was going out to bars. I was still making out with females. You know what I'm saying? I was dancing with them and I was playing around, but I couldn't get nothing consistent. That's been my struggle for the last 8 years. Is getting consistent sex in my life. Feel what I'm saying? Consistent with the ones I really want. You know, because I like a certain body type. I like ass. And a lot of those women are highly desirable. So, yeah, you're going to struggle without the bag if you don't have... I mean, you're going to struggle with getting those type of women without the bag. It's just the way it is. Here in California, things have gotten a lot more competitive, especially after the tech motherfuckers came up in here, man. Once the tech motherfuckers came up in here, man, it was a wrap. 2012, that was like Armageddon for like average men, bro. You talking about religion and Armageddon, man, the dating market crashed in 2012, bro. When Tinder and Bumble hit the scene with the techies and stuff, it was over for a lot of dudes. It was fully over. Just like Facing the LMS said, man, it's fully over. Fully over. Until you get that bag, you're gonna be struggling. And I've been struggling for the last 8 years, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna be struggling for another 8 years of my life. You know, I'm chasing this bag hard, baby. Best believe that. Feel what I'm saying? I'm chasing this bag with all my might, all my strength. Feel what I'm saying? The first thing I do when I get the bag is gonna be a vacation for at least 90 days. I ain't coming back to the US for at least 90 days. It could be more. I might be enjoying myself on vacation and shit. My 90 days be up, and then I'll go back. If I feel like I'm enjoying myself, I'm gonna renew my visa for another 90 days. And then after that, I'll come back to the US. So 60 days. I mean, 60 days. What's up with it? Oh, I appreciate it, brother. God bless. Figure of speech. Did I say God bless? Yeah, I did that. Whatever. Figure of speech, guy. Figure of speech. He gave me something. Anyway, so I don't want to be that guy that's struggling in the dating market for the rest of my life. You feel what I'm saying? So when women come around and they make fun of me for struggling or whatever, I'm like, well, you know what? You're not a man. So whatever you're saying right now, I don't pay attention to it too much, man. You're not a man. You don't understand what the struggle is with the dating scene out here. Men have a hard time getting sex than women. So when you come around, you try to talk on men's issues and stuff like that, I ignore it. Like that girl who was dating, or who was married to like Tyrese. What's her name? Samantha Lee, or whatever her name is. You know, she talking about men's issues and what men are going through. No, I don't listen to your channel because when you start talking about men's issues and stuff like that, I ignore it. Anytime type of female start talking about men's issues, I ignore it because they don't understand. And then a lot of stuff they be missing, like struggling in the dating market. You know, a lot of dudes are struggling. You know, they don't understand that because they don't struggle. You know, you can't expect a rich person to understand a poor person's problems. You know what I'm saying? That's a cool Frenchie, man. Yeah, how you doing, buddy? Hey, I bet you snore.
Yes.
He be snoring. Man, love you. Yeah.
Come on.
Excited. He's like, ooh, a new person. Have a good day, man. You know. And the thing is, man, like I said, man, when the going gets tough, you gotta realize that, you know, you a man and you're supposed to take everything that comes toward you. You feel what I'm saying? You're not supposed to show any weaknesses. You're not supposed to be crying. You feel what I'm saying? Even though, yeah, you feel that way, you feel like it's hopeless and there's no way out. But you can't afford to show it. You know, that's what dudes do, man. Let me drink some more water, man. Because nobody cares about men tears, man. You know, that's for women and children. women and children, you know, people care about their tears. But you as a man, nobody cares about if you cry or if you're struggling. They don't care about that. You ever notice that? That as a man, you get no sympathy for your situation that you're in right now from nobody, you know. And then when you come up, all of a sudden everybody giving you sympathy. And the only time they give you sympathy if you're rich, then people care about you. Then people want to be around you. You ever notice that? A lot of these rich celebrities, they got so many people around them. Floyd Money Mayweather, Diddy. Diddy had a lot of people around him. He was paying people's rent. Some of them females in the courtroom on the stand was like, I was only around because he was paying my rent. He was keeping me, fed and he's paying my bills. Because, that's what it takes for you to have people around you, bro. It's like nowadays you gotta have something. You gotta be worth something in order for women to fool with you like that. And like I said, she was talking about how she was only around Diddy because he was paying her bills. And that's a goddamn shame. That us men gotta make something of ourselves to feel valued in society, bro. Feel what I'm saying? To feel valued and feel loved. But other than that, man, if you ain't got no money, if you ain't got the bag, nobody loves you, man. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about what you're going through in life. And that's real talk right there. You feel what I'm saying? That's on the real. Women have women have an easier time in life because they got men looking out. They got simps. Let's put it this way. But they can always rely on a simp or a sugar daddy to pay their bills and come to their rescue. We don't have that option unless we're Chad or Tyrone. Chad and Tyrone get things paid for, okay, by women with money, okay. Just look at look at Keke Palmer. I think they were married or that was her boyfriend or living boyfriend or whatever. But she paid for everything, Look at little Kim. She was dating some Tyrone and helping him get into the music industry as long as he was piping her down. You feel what I'm saying? I heard about that story, and I looked at the dude. I was like, look at this Tyrone. He had to have sex with a 50-year-old woman just so he can get his music career off the ground. You feel what I'm saying? So, people who are top tier looks, they get special privileges that we average men or people, mainly men, they get privileges that we don't get in life. So we can't live delusional like we're gonna get a break somehow or somebody's gonna come to our rescue. Nah, you're average looking, nobody's coming to your rescue, man. Average women, they got somebody coming to their rescue, But as men, nah, you got to suck it up and be the provider and that's what they expect you to do, is to be a provider in life. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take a licking and keep on ticking. That's how society is, man. They don't care about you crying and complaining. They don't care. They like, nah, you gotta lead. You gotta be the leader. You gotta get the bag. You gotta become successful, or you're gonna have a horrible life. You're not a Chad or a Tyrone. You don't have that luxury. You just don't have it like that. Like when I was younger, let me tell you, I was attracting women who had some bread. My ex-girlfriend made more money than I did, way more money. But I was young. I was 27 years old. I was full of looks, and I caught breaks because I was younger. But as you get older, as a man, them free passes, they stop. I'm getting free passes when you're young, man. You get free passes. But once you get to be like 30, 40 years old, bro, them free passes that you once was getting, they stop. Like Chaz and Tyrone can't leave with their looks their whole entire life. Eventually, once they get to be 35, 40, they ain't get no more free passes unless they date down, Like my homeboy, he was a Tyrone. My homeboy James, he was a Tyrone, and he was getting free passes with females. He was homeless, but a female would always come around and scoop him up because he was 6 foot tall. He had a really good jaw. He was better looking than me. So I saw him always living with females and stuff, and he had that privilege because he was above average looking. So women would stop and be like, "Oh, you need a place to live? Come live with me." Out here, not once. That hasn't happened to me, not once. Maybe because I'm in the wrong area, or maybe because I'm not online, you know what I'm saying? But he was online. He met a female online in Texas. And I was like, what's up with, one day I was talking to him, and I was like, what's up with it, James, what's going on? Oh, bro, don't worry about it, man, I'm good. I was like, what's going on? He's like, man, I'm still living in the car and stuff, but I met this one female in Texas, man. I'm about to go see what's up with her out there. I said, in Texas, really? He was like, yeah, I'm gonna go out there, bro. So then, he ended up in Texas, and he ended up marrying that female. She brought the rings, bro. She had bread, bro. But I looked at her and I noticed she was overweight and like below average looking, or maybe just average and overweight. And I was like, James, this is not the bad bitches that I'm used to seeing you with. He was like, man, don't worry about that, man. Look at this Corvette she brought me. She brought that nigga a Corvette, bro. 2 cars. She brought that nigga 2 cars. I forgot what the other car was, but I remember he had a Corvette, and she had a big ass house and shit. And I'm like, God damn, and this nigga's like 40 years old, but he had to settle because, for the looks, because the guy was broke, and he was over 40. You know what I'm saying? So he had that luxury like that, but he had to leave out of California though to do that. California got the tough dating scene, bro. Woo. Women out here, they only want the 20% of men. And I told you this shit before, how at one point in my life I was faking the phone. I was faking the phone, pretending to be rich when I wasn't. And getting the girlfriend was not hard at all. So we're talking about the 10% of men, or the 20% of men that females are only going after, and that's what's going on right now in the dating market. And that's why that's why a lot of guys are struggling. That's the reason why I'm struggling. That's the reason why a lot of you guys are struggling, because of the 20-80% rule. They only want the 20%. I can't say 10% because there's a lot of rich people out here in this area. Okay, there's about 350,000, rich people here in the Bay Area, millionaires. 350,000. That's a lot of millionaires, bro. You're competing with them, bro. You feel what I'm saying? So if you broke in the dating market, yeah, you're gonna struggle keeping a woman, because she got a lot of options. That fat chick, she dropped me like a bad habit, but I dropped her, man, because I wasn't really into that fat chick, man. You know what I'm saying? Not only that she was fat, but she had stanky breath. But she had options. Even though she had stanky breath, bro, she had options. You think a man with stanky breath can get away with shit like that, of having a lot of options? No. Dudes would put up with the stanky breath just so they could get their dick sucked, bro. You see what I'm saying? That's how it is out here, desperate. You know, motherfuckers are desperate as hell. Like at one time, I was at the taqueria truck over here, and the taco truck, and I seen a dude walk up and get a handicapped woman's phone number, bro. Now, from the waist up, she wasn't bad looking, okay, but from the waist down, you know, it's like her legs stopped growing at a certain age or something, because she still had like 5-year-old legs or whatever, right? And I seen this dude cop her phone number. Now, she had a nice pair of tits though. She was young. She was like at least 19, 20 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? And some dude that was like in his 30s walked up and they was talking and shit. I guess they been talking or whatever. And he got her number. I seen it. I was like, damn, this really that desperate out here, huh? Like dude, dudes are sleeping with handicapped women, bro, just so they could get a lay, man. Now, like this female, from the waist up, she was not that bad looking. You see what I'm saying? And I could see what he was thinking. Remember, I could just have sex with her and turn her over, you know, and get my dick sucked, because I haven't had my dick sucked in a long time. So something is better than nothing. And it's my he was like, something is better than nothing, man. For real, it's that competitive and it's that desperate out here, bro. Dudes are fucking around with handicapped women, bro. One time I seen a woman in a wheelchair pregnant, bro. I was like, oh man, somebody knocked her up? And I was like, damn. That's how easy it is. Let me tell you something. If a man is handicapped, man, it is completely over for him. You know, unless he's a billionaire, bro, or a millionaire, bro, he ain't getting no woman, bro. Look at David Campbell that went out to the Philippines because he was struggling getting something. He had to go to the Philippines just so he could get a wife, bro. Because in the U.S., they ain't fucking with him, bro. And he sub 5 and he handicapped. You know, that's a death sentence, bro. You feel what I'm saying? It was completely over for him until he got his passport and went overseas. You feel what I'm saying? You know, but he did, even though he handicapped, he did something about his situation. That's for sure. Hey, it's better than doing nothing at all, right? With David Campbell, not the other David, but the black David, the guy who went to the Philippines, the handicapped guy. You know, he did something about his situation, but also he got a handicap disability check coming in for the rest of his life, so he can stay out there until he dies, man. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta go, man. It's time for me to work out. I've been talking way too long. You guys have a good day. Peace out, take care, and bless. I'm out.